What fact sounds legit but is actually fake? You get arthritis by cracking your bones. It does sound pretty bad when you pop them, but they're just gas bubbles. If you tell me, I won't get mad. That your blood is blue when there is no oxygen in it. Carbon monoxide is heavier than air, so put your detectors close to the floor. The first people to die of CO poisoning are the ones lying down. Reality. CO is about the same density as air. In fact, it is actually slightly lighter than air, so it doesn't matter where you put your detectors. This myth likely started because CO fatalities are most likely to occur while people are sleeping because they are not aware of the symptoms of poisoning, i.e. dizziness, nausea, etc. versus those who are awake. Astronomer here. Stars that don't twinkle are planets. Twinkling has to do with the stability of the atmosphere more than anything else. That's why even stars will look rock steady on a cold, clear night on a mountaintop. Little air movement going on compared to a muggy night in the city. Now planets, the argument goes, are not point sources due to their distance and not as susceptible to bad seeing due to the atmosphere we legit call atmospheric transparency that in astronomy. However, if you look into it, only Venus and Jupiter are big, close enough to be bigger than point sources from Earth, so you'll never be able to figure out if it's, say, Saturn from this method. Second, I see Venus and Jupiter twinkle all the time. Venus often twinkles because you usually see it near the horizon, so more atmosphere for the light to go through. And these days most of us live in cities with bad seeing, so you'll see Jupiter twinkle just like a star. Myth. 3 Americans every year die from rabies. Fact. 4 Americans every year die from rabies. If the Earth moved just 10 inches, then we would all be dead. Hair grows back stronger after being sagaved off. Reading in a dark area damages your eyes. It just tires the muscles more quickly. Then how come my eyes aren't basically Hercules after 3 decades of living like a mole person? Chewing gum stays in your stomach for 7 years. Charging your phone too often will shorten its battery life. Actually, the opposite is true. It used to be true because of old NiCad battery tech, battery memory. The wisdom propagated into lies with the advent of lithium-ion. My girlfriend goes to another school. NASA spent millions of dollars on a pen that could work in space, while the Russians just used a pencil. They didn't spend the money developing the pen, Fisher did, and then approached NASA. Also, they wanted a pen instead of a pencil, so there was less chance of graphite breaking off and getting into the electronics. A young Jedi named Darth Vader, who was a pupil of mine until he turned to evil, helped the Empire hunt down and destroy the Jedi Knights. He betrayed and murdered your father. Always wait 24 hours before reporting a missing person. If you tell me the truth, you won't get in trouble. A cop. To 16-year-old me. The first video ever uploaded to YouTube had to be taken down in 2016 for violating their terms of service. I'd believe the shit out of this one. Blanks are harmless. Your eyes don't grow. This is fake. Found this out from my eye doctor or whatever you call them. Apparently not wearing your glasses won't make your eyes worse, and wearing them also won't make your eyes better. By the time Grandpa turned 90, he had eyes in the back of his head. Masturbation causes blindness. Experiment conducted by Daly for 40 years. Hypothesis disproven. Eating carrots improves your eyesight. This nugget of false wisdom originates with World War II Allied propaganda and its efforts to conceal a technology from the Nazis. One of the ways the British defended against bombing raids was by holding blackouts to make it harder for incoming planes to find their targets. At the same time, the Allies were curiously good at shooting down German planes despite the blackouts. This needed a cover story because its incoming pun warning blindingly obvious that small mobile aircraft are slightly harder targets than large stationary factories and cities. Hence the explanation that defensive gunners were supplied with a diet high in vitamin A to promote good night vision. Hence carrots. It's true that vitamin A deficiency can contribute to vision loss. The public garbled this into a notion that excess vitamin A intake imparts supervision. Actually, what adequate vitamin A mostly does is prevent the cornea from excessive dryness, which can be one cause of clouded vision. The myth about carrots persisted in popular culture long after radar stopped being a classified technology. There's hot singles in my area who want to meet me. On the U.S. interstate system, it was designed so that at least 1 mile in every 5 miles was straight so that it could be used as a runway by the military in case of war. This was done to appease certain politicians that opposed the massive spending on the interstate project. It's almost like a straight line is the easiest, most efficient path from point A to point B. Websites that appear at the top of the search results that aren't sponsored listings earned their way to the top. As someone who is hired to help get clients to the top of Google's search results, and it's something I've been doing successfully for 20 years, this is definitely not the case. There are many firms and individuals whose job is to influence those rankings to get the websites we want at the top of the results. Lightning never strikes twice in the same place. I don't think this necessarily is viewed as true by anyone anymore, but there was that whole thing about people swallow 5 spiders a year on average in their sleep. That many people did go around spouting as fact maybe 10+ years ago? It was made up by a group of people testing to see how far they could spread misinformation. Turns out the answer is pretty far. You eat 8 spiders per year while sleeping or whatever. Average person eats 8 spiders a year. Factoid, actually just statistical error. Average person eats 0 spiders per year. Spiders. Georg, who lives in cave and eats over 10,000 each day, is an outlier and should not have been counted. For one person to single-handedly bring the average up by 8, they would need to eat 165 million spiders a day. That is 1910 spiders a second, with no breaks. Driving with the dome interior light on is illegal. Standing too close to the TV screen can damage your eyes. That's not true at all. Puts on VR headset. They told us not to sit too close to the TV, so we strapped the TV directly to our faces. Eating carrots improves your eyesight. Black holes suck in everything. If a black hole of the same mass replaced our sun, we'd still go around it as if nothing happened. Well, we'd all be frozen to death, but let's ignore that. Worth noting that a black hole the same mass as the sun would be about the diameter of a not especially large town, about 4 miles. A black hole the same diameter as the sun in the same place? Yeah, then we might get some sucky. Finally, 92% of people will believe a statistic if you use a high enough percentage. Melania Trump is the only first lady to speak English as a second language. Our 8th president learned English as a second language. Not a fact. However, sweating like a pig is a phrase often used, and seldom do pigs sweat. They're always rolling around in the mud to keep cool. Actually, pigs are incapable of sweating. They must roll around in the mud or find some other way to cool themselves, or they'll have heat stroke. You can, however, fart like a racehorse. Coconuts have hair and produce milk. Therefore, coconuts are mammals. The US $2 bill is no longer printed for circulation and as such has been hoarded by collectors. Because it's been hoarded, it's extremely valuable. $2 bills are still being printed, though none will be printed in 2020 because there is enough supply of them to meet what little demand there is, since they are hoarded by collectors. And money collectors are really the only people who want multiple $2 bills. There is almost no extra value in them. Basically, anyone who wants $2 bills has a stockpile of them already, and anyone who wants one and doesn't have one can easily get one from a collector or even your local bank, since no extra value exists in them over their $2 face value. Many hoarders are willing to part with a bill or two. If a baby bird falls out of a tree, touching it will make it smell human and cause the mum to abandon it. Not true. You go into shock and die before hitting the ground when free falling. This is to protect your brain while losing control of your extremities. This is false. Who would believe this? So many logic holes. At what distance? Why doesn't every skydiver die? Or cliff diver? There are plenty of people who have gone into free fall and not died even after hitting the ground from various heights. Roman people would use bird poop to dye their hair. True. The birds used to produce the poop were actually somewhat expensive to keep. It wasn't just random chickens. It got so popular that opportunistic people would mix together things that looked like the bird poop to sell, and ended up using fats for texture and consistency and lye for color. This counterfeit poop ended up being more popular in the long run thanks to its cleaning effects. Hence, shampoo. That popping, crunching joints on your hands will give you arthritis. It's not true. A shrimp did not fry your rice. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Not true. To miss is to have taken a shot. If I never shoot, I never miss. If you mix ketchup, salt and pepper, the chemicals heat up. You can actually feel the heat if you put your hand over the mixture. That's what I'd tell my friends right before pressing their hand down into the salt and pepper ketchup. Y'all gotta change your blinker fluid. Krusty Krab isn't unfair. If you touch your penis you will grow hair on your palms. My grandmother used to tell me that. My palms aren't hairy and I jerk off all the time. Jacking off makes your palms hairy is a great thing to say in a room full of teenage dudes. They all always look. During Jimmy Carter's inauguration, he carried a live mouse named Squeaky in his jacket pocket. Caffeine can stunt your growth. Caffeine doesn't stunt your growth. It's been scientifically proven that an average dose of caffeine has no effect on your height. Caffeine does not affect growth hormones unless it is in absurd amounts. Like 35 cups of straight caffeine. Not 2 cups of coffee and a Mountain Dew. 35 cups of caffeine would affect your growth by killing you. We only use 10% of our brains. I know people in this forum that use far less than that. Hey, don't drag me into this. Swallowing the gum will make it stick to the stomach.